Hola, everybody in podcast land and also on YouTube. I'm James.
Mi amo es David.
I can't speak Spanish, but my name's Riley.
And Esto is the Carpool Critics movie podcast, where today we are covering the musical In the Heights.
Spoiler alert!
Sing it.
Spoiler alert!
There we go.
Thank you very much. If you're in our convoy of listeners who watch movies ahead of time, next week we're going to be covering the new Disney Pixar movie, Luca. Disney Pixar, right?
Disney
Not
Pixar.
just one or the other? Both?
But you try and keep the infrastructure of Pixar separate. So it is a Pixar movie, but I think they say it Disney Pixar now.
Okay, cool. But today it's In the Heights all day, so let's do that. Okay, David, what are you giving this movie out of 10?
Although it slows down in the second half, I had a smile plastered on my face the whole time. In the Heights delivers on its promise and is an absolute pleasure to watch. 8.1 out of 10.
Wow. Right on.
I really enjoyed this movie. I was like not super stoked to go into it. I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. I don't love Hamilton, but the whole time I was just enjoying being there, you know?
That's true.
It's one of those movies that's just like nice people doing nice things for each other with nice music. And you're like, this is nice.
Everything's just nice.
It's just a nice
in
movie.
Washington Heights.
That was awesome. Rally.
Here's my slogan. It was my sueñito to do a musical other than Cats. And this one delivered, although there are definitely some confusing parts, and we'll get into that. I ad-libbed that last part of my slogan. My score is 7.5 out of 10. Because, like you say, it was enjoyable.
It's very enjoyable.
There are definitely a few parts. Man, but we'll get into that. James.
Hello. In the Heights made me laugh, made me feel a little bit, and made me learn. It's a must-watch for fans of the genre, and for everyone else. So, in that vein, 7 out of 10, I guess.
Yeah.
For some people, this is going to be a 10.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, they're just going to turn it off because it's not their thing.
Yeah.
For me, it was kind of like 6.9-ish. It is too long.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, for sure.
When I found out it was 2.5 hours, I was, come on. I
The
think
first-
I kind of
yeah.
got it
Yeah.
after like the first hour and a half.
Yeah, the first hour I was like, oh, I don't mind that this is 2 hours and a half, and then it kept going.
But you
I
know
was
what's
like,
crazy
oh,
is that they
alright.
cut out a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
from the original. This was a Broadway musical.
But I mean, stage musicals are always longer because there's an intermission and it's such an
Right.
event that you're like locked in for 3 hours. That's
Yeah.
fine.
And it's more stimulating to watch like the dancing in real life.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
I've been to like the Mexican folkloric dances and stuff like that. That's a long thing, and there's no story or dialogue. It's just people dancing. But because it's in real life, it's really impressive and stuff. It's like the difference between watching Cirque du Soleil live and on TV. You'd be like,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
Cirque du Soleil.
I've seen
TV?
it. I've seen a bunch of videos of people doing crazy things with their body. Take that however you want.
Oh.
But yeah, live's a whole nother ballgame.
That's right.
Well, why are these people dancing, Riley?
Because of our sponsor, Private Internet Access VPN. I psyched you. PIA helps you hide your true IP address so that you can bypass geo restrictions and censorship. You can connect up to 10 devices at once, and it includes an internet kill switch.
There's a abuela.
If your abuela gets disconnected involuntarily. PIA is available for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and even has a Chrome extension. This is offensive. So check it out at lmg.gg/carpoolcritics.
That's not offensive.
Depends who, I don't know. Carpool Critics is also supported by Vessi Footwear, famous for making shoes that are light, comfortable, and most importantly, waterproof. And I've actually seen it, a lot of them in the wild recently. Like, my neighbor was wearing Vessi, and every time I see it, I'm like, is it because he's a listener to the podcast? I think they just sell a lot of shoes.
Probably not.
They have a shoe. It's called the Weekend Shoe. It's very chill. A guy gave me a massage earlier this week. He was wearing it. It's vegan. It's cool. You should get it too. So head to vessi.com/corporalcritics to get your own, or check out their other existing shoes, like the ones I have that have no laces that look super cool, and get $25 off using our code.
Someone give you a massage wearing Vessi shoes? Is that what you said?
It's crazy. You
on
can
their
stand
hand?
while wearing them, but yeah.
They also had them on their hands, you know?
That's what I was envisioning. I was like, wait,
Digging
what's
them.
going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Guys-
because they're a Vancouver company.
Abuela is the only person who dies in this movie.
Yes. And it's
So what am I
very
supposed to-
peaceful.
what do you want? What was I
I
supposed
love
to
that
do?
they go so far out of their way to make it seem so peaceful for her, where she gets to watch the people she love each other and just sigh, and then
that's
it's
beautiful.
over. I was like, that's the dream way of going.
It is.
But it still
although-
hurts so much because she was the matriarch of the whole community.
I think, it was extremely confusing for me because I was like,
Is she asleep?
yeah, I was like, where did this come from? But we'll get into that after I tell you this is a shorter synopsis than normal. But here's what happens, guys. Bright-eyed Uznavi runs a bodega in the primarily Latino neighborhood of Washington Heights, Manhattan, and dreams of saving up enough money to return to the Dominican Republic to restore his late father's business. Until then, Usnavi vies for beautician and aspiring fashion designer Vanessa's attention as his childhood friends Benny and Nina nurture dreams of their own. During a power blackout, Abuela Claudia, the community's matriarch, passes away, and it's revealed that Usnavi's cousin Sonny can't go to college because he's an undocumented immigrant, and Vanessa also needs help with getting a new place. But these streets are made of music, baby. And as the temperature rises, nothing can stand in the way of youthful, sun-kissed optimism. So Usnavi decides to stay. After all, there's no place like home. And yes, I skipped a bunch of stuff there.
You sure
but there's so much, and I was like, that's honestly one of my criticisms we'll get into later, that like so much happens as part of the plot that doesn't actually really matter.
For
So
sure.
I was like, what to include here? But let's start out with the good stuff. I loved the musical numbers in this movie.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So fun.
What was your favorite one?
Oh man.
I know
think
mine.
I think it might just be the first one.
The first one's really good, and like the
In
slow
the
build
Heights.
up to it, like
Yeah.
because like for like 5 minutes, it's like the music's kind of slowly building, and the
Yeah.
energy's like you're like, oh, they're gonna dance,
Yeah.
they're gonna dance.
No, it's gotta be.
The best thing about that first one, I think you may have been the only one that really did this for me, is it has this real visual harmony with the story. So there's a spot where he's singing about not belonging in some way, and like a door closes, and you can see he's looking through the window out at the dancers on the street, and we see the reflection of the dancers, so we can see this mob dancing, but there's like this separation between them.
Right.
And we can only see them because of the reflection in the glass. And it was just like, yes, everything he's saying is what we're seeing. Like that was just like masterful.
They did it a couple times too when I can't remember her name, but the girl that came back from college that has all the
Nina.
pressure. I like that song when like the crowd is gathering around her, because like in reality that's probably not happening, but it's kind of another visual representation of this pressure she's feeling.
Yeah.
And I think this movie is very successful at doing those little things to visually tell the story of these songs.
Totally. I feel like I've heard that people don't love that number as much. Breathe. I think it's called.
Just breathe.
And because I think it is kind of like I like her later in the movie, but this is kind of a lame introduction to her, where she's just like, I'm just kind of sad and stuff and blah blah. But I love those visual themes of like showing the people around her, and then also when she sees the little girl dancing.
Oh, I like that.
And it's like representing her.
Yeah.
That was actually the one time that I got emotional watching this, was when she goes to meet her dad at the cafe.
And it's like the montage of her and her dad.
Well,
'Cause that made me cry.
oh, I forget when that is.
It's just in that song. There's like a 20-second montage of her and Jimmy Schmidt like through the ages of him just, like supporting her, and I was like, I didn't full cry, but I teared up.
So, but like, yeah, but she stops on the street corner. She looks over and sees her dad waving at it from the cafe, and then she kind of finishes the last note and walks off screen. And as she walks off, it reveals the girl that was representing her as a little girl. Behind her, and she kind of like smiles and like
skips away.
I was like, I don't know. It's just like I felt the weight of the expectations on her, and kind of like the callback to a nostalgic earlier time. I was like, whoa, that's emotional.
Is that the song where is that little girl kind of seen in the background across the street dancing with locals
I like
on
that
their
too,
door
because
stoops
that's like
and
a
stuff?
visual representation of how the community surrounded her and helped lift her up so that she could accomplish these things.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed from that scene though was like, where do they get all these chubby guys who can pirouette? They had all these like middle-aged dudes with dad bod like doing ballerina moves. I was like, this is crazy. These guys.
I'm impressed by this, and I think. Well, obviously, it doesn't happen in Cats, but in other like kind of film adaptations of musicals I've seen, it's really cool when they can get people who are doing these moves that you expect of like professional dancer theater people, and they just look like normal people, like they're like kind of overweight and stuff. I'm like, wow, nice, dude.
Yeah, great.
It really brings you into the world.
Yeah. I think my favorite song was the Salon song.
Yes,
I love that
for sure.
song. Yeah, it was so fun and like good and like
And
it tells a story.
stimulating.
Yes,
Like, that one I felt like I could watch this 10 times and get something out of it every time.
totally. I enjoyed that.
I don't remember.
That was the one with the wigs.
Yeah,
That freaks me out. I was like, whoa, what? The mannequin heads are moving? That was so weird.
I always love, I haven't seen the stage musical, but I love contemplating what was in the stage musical and what's not. And to me, like, that's just one of those effects that was in the stage musical that they wanted
was
to
it?
bring. I'm guessing. I don't know. This is all I'm just guessing. I've never seen it.
It's the only like otherworldly you could call it paranormal thing. I guess other than when they are dancing on the rooftop, like on the wall.
Yeah.
On the wall
yeah,
of
that
the
was
building.
cool.
Did not like that number. I like the idea of it, but
The visuals or the song?
both. I think my two least favorite songs are the two romance songs. Like one at the park. It's like that B romance that I don't think the songs were super great.
Oh,
Benny and
Nina.
both times I was like, these songs are okay.
Yeah.
And the not walking, like the dancing on the side of the building was cool, but the CG was so bad that I was constantly distracted.
Really? I thought it was pretty good.
The VFX generally in this movie was like good enough
Okay.
for this movie,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
could tell every single time you're
Yeah.
like VFX.
I think that, I mean, I guess I didn't have a high bar for that
Fair.
because I was like, it's a musical adaptation. I know it's going to look kind of.
not Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when the fabric's falling off the building for a second, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, and then it kind of shows its CG seams, and you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
that was a
It's
really cool visual.
and
though.
she's running. I felt something there. Her running through the streets
Yeah.
with the fabric falling.
I
was like,
almost
"That's
felt something for that character for the only time in the movie.
cool." Yeah.
Which is that the fashion designer
Vanessa,
character?
yeah.
Vanessa,
I
right.
felt a little bit for her.
But wait, let's stay on the music for a little bit.
All right.
Yeah. I like the final number too. The like hype up, like we're Latino and we're gonna party. Like
Yeah.
that song was sick. I was like, I want to be Latino.
I
This
think
is
that's
so
the actual.
sick.
That's the real title.
We all do.
I'm Latino. We're gonna party.
I just can't remember the song, but it was just so fun and like the energy they bring. And then Usnavi shows up, and you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna dance.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just
Yeah.
love the energy.
It was the part of a song that I was most stoked for was when Sonny does his like rap in the pool
Oh yeah,
during
so
96,000.
sick.
Yeah,
That's the kid with the sideways mouth?
Love him.
Yeah, the sideways mouth. He does. He speaks out the side of his mouth
Yeah.
because it's cool. Yeah, man, I got stoked there because I think they had kind of set up that he's sort of like an activist person. He invites Vanessa to go to this protest earlier. And then in this one, he's like talking about systemic issues and stuff. And he's like, you don't expect it because he's this like young, skinny kid. And then all of a sudden he just comes out with
He's
this like
mad.
super
Yeah.
intense like rapper
That was
energy.
sick.
I was like, nice, dude.
Yeah.
And then the girl floats up to him on the floaty and they're like, hey, what's your
That was awesome.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
was
And then there's all like just the pleasant visuals. Like in that number when it goes to the high overheads and it's all the people in the tubes and swimming in the water. And
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
the scale of some of these numbers is extraordinary.
Oh,
like
my
there's
gosh.
so many people dancing together, and like they put all the effort to have the colors be popping all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice looking movie.
Everything's popping all the time.
And I love
Popping.
how it really works that it's a musical about this community because these communities have so many different types of dances.
Right.
You know, you got like, it's like rueda, salsa, marimba, bachata. Yeah,
I can do all of those.
I was in the Latin dance club in university.
Oh, were you?
Something you guys have seen 1% of James.
I was
Stroud.
gonna say because like we learned French in school here, and you guys are like kind of popping off these Spanish words, and I'm like, I don't know as many of those. What's
Oh, that's from traveling.
well,
That's from traveling. My
I've
friend.
been to Dominican Republic, but I didn't retain anything. I guess
Well, that's a resort destination for Canadians. You don't like
that's true.
have to. You
they
don't have
don't
to like
actually-
figure out like how do I ask what time does the bus arrive there?
Yeah, we went outside the resort.
We did excursions.
Yeah, we did an excursion.
We went to Chicken Pizza.
We
to a
touched
market.
dolphins. Yeah,
Yeah.
we touched a dolphin.
I saw some signs. I touched a dolphin. I didn't touch a dolphin. I wish I did.
No.
Anyways.
I'm good. They're all
No, but it's just sweet
Oh, is
because
that bad? Oh, okay.
usually yeah.
in any
Whoopsies.
given in any given one of these scenes, it'll be like, oh, and those people in the background are doing Argentinian tango. And
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
can just switch between all the because it's a community of communities.
Yeah.
Right.
And each one of those communities is it's such a big part of the culture.
Yeah.
To play music and dance. Like Cuban music's its own genre. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like such a small country.
Man, there was so much going on in the background that I felt like I wanted to either go back or like play it in slow motion or something because there was just like you got the main people in the front, but then there's so much
Yeah.
like extra stuff happening in the background. I was just like, this is sensory overload in a good way, but also like I feel like I'm missing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you watch it in slow motion, you would still miss stuff because you're Riley. I got the sense like,
Whoa, dude.
and I'm James. I got the sense
we
that
would all miss it.
I would see so much more of this movie if I was from one of these communities or had deep familiarity with several of them.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many layers that I know I'm not getting from it.
Yeah, and they're also like, it's something that took away from my experience a little bit, but it's something that I recognize probably enriched a lot of other people's experiences, was all these references and kind of like in jokes and like the language and stuff. All these things that you would be very familiar with as a member of Latino culture or whatever. And I felt that warmth would come through if I was part of that.
Yeah.
But a ton of these references, like they kind of go in and out of English and Spanish a lot of times when they're speaking, and I was kind of like, okay, I know what that is, but I don't know what that is. And
Yeah, that's like level 1 of it, because I know some little memes or turns of phrase.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you're just like, oh, they said a Spanish word. You get the gist, like, where they're like, Nina, mira. You're like, okay, I guess that means like focus or like.
Yeah, mira?
It means look. Like,
Oh, that's a character in Rainbow Six who has a one-way mirror. That makes sense.
Look at that.
It's look.
Yeah, so at one point I thought Mira was like her nickname, and I'm like, that's really close to Nina in terms of syllables.
It's just like a turn of phrase when you're like, look, blah, 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 blah. So they say it a lot, right? Or like,
right.
bien, just like, well or good. So even just knowing that, you're going to get, 5% more of the movie.
Yeah.
But then just things that I'm never going to know, like, like she has those nails. Those nails were popular at that time. That's funny that she has those. Remember everyone had those extensions? Like, you're not going to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've never been in a Latino salon, so I don't know at all what it is. I just enjoy this movie of it. But I've
been in most of the other salons, but not a Latino one. Yeah, I think that that kind of highlights one of the early notes I wrote, was that I was like, guys, like I was writing it to you, David and James. I was like, guys, this movie isn't for us.
No,
but it's still it succeeds because it's enjoyable.
Yeah,
for us.
It's super enjoyable still. But I think that like it's such a celebration of Washington Heights and like Latino Americans in general, and kind of this mishmash of cultures, as you were saying. Like there's so much depth to it, and I think that it's really a celebration of that. And I can sit back as an outsider and appreciate that, but I know that I'm not appreciating it on the level that these the people in that community would be able to.
The thing that I thought was really cool was the napkins. She explains those little resistances, or just these little things in our lives that keep our culture alive.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really cool and profound.
Beautiful.
Totally. Yeah. What does she say? Like we need the little details so that people don't forget about us.
Because if you ever
little details that tell the world we're not invisible.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a good line.
Because anytime I have basically been in any other culture, it just makes me think, I have no culture. Like our culture is just one of lack. Like we have nothing. We have literally nothing.
Totally.
And you see
cheeseburgers.
You just see other cultures, and you're like,
even our culture.
There's so much more like work put in and pride had in it, and just they try harder, and just like those napkins are just an example of it.
Well, and I think like we just spent 5 minutes praising this movie for having those details throughout. It's like in the dance and the music, like having these little distinctions, and like it is really important to celebrate those details. And like we forget it for ourselves, because I think most of like white North American culture is just everything kind of combined. And like there's there's details that separate us, but it's so interesting to me this different like focus on maintaining those like traditions and those cultures and the details.
Yeah. A lot of it is because we have like an atheist society by and large, so you lose like a ton of ceremony there. But also, it's not even necessarily just. I wouldn't even call it white culture. I would call it. I think Canadianness is actually even worse than others, because like my grandma's house growing up had a bunch of like Dutch tchotchke. Like those porcelain stuff that's like blue and white, like painted blue. It's like windmills, and there's like my oma literally had like a pair of clogs on the ground, like the wooden shoes. Because my grandma actually, I'm not ethnically Dutch. My grandma was adopted by a Dutch lady. So I had an oma. She was my great grandma was like,
interesting.
She's literally a Dutch lady with an accent. And then, but my grandma, like everyone else, no. And we went to a family, no, it wasn't a family reunion. It was my oma's 100th birthday.
Oh, cool.
She's passed now, but on her 100th birthday, it was like me and my whole family and everyone we know, short brunette people, and then the actual like almost actual kids and actual descendants were all like super tall and blonde and like they're all playing baseball and shit. I was like, oh man, we're just like the scum. It's just like,
that's funny.
Dutch people.
They're very nice people.
Yeah.
But now, what do we have in our homes to decorate? We're minimalists. We have like some Scandinavian like chipboard, like compressed wood
Well,
floating shelves.
I don't use what my apartment looks like
No,
as
no,
like the standard, but
I'm just saying like IKEA stuff. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have a teapot with a windmill drawn on it
Right.
in my house at all.
we have IKEA, yeah. It's like now I'm imagining the apartment from Fight Club. Where
Yeah.
it's like that's kind of what our places look like, or what people think they should look like.
Just empty and like filled with consumables and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Do you
that
guys think
degrade.
that it's all a result of like laziness, or do you think it's a result of like individualist culture where it's so important to set yourself apart by every means necessary that you want to erase anything that someone else defined you by, and you want to define yourself from the inside out?
I think it has to do with many factors. I think it has to do with Fordism and nuclear family setup where like I live with my wife and my child. I don't live with my grandma. Abuela's not here. See, like they have community, and that's why you end this movie being like, I want to be Latino, because you see that they have
I want to
Community.
be Latino.
they have community. They like look at they grew up together. That dad can spank that neighbor's kid. This grandma isn't related to any of them, but
It's
she's
just
everyone's
takes care of
grandma.
when you
everybody.
can spank other people's.
I actually had that experience yesterday.
What?
I live in this building that has like an interior courtyard, and there's lots of families there because there's not that many 3-bedroom apartments in Vancouver. So there's just tons of like kids that are the same age as my kids. So there was this toddler there, and he ended up being some distance away from his mom, and he was like kind of climbing into the planters.
Oh dear.
And I was like, do I tell this kid to get the fuck out of this planter? I think I do. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
then-
an
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
but that's an interesting phenomenon in our culture where it's not like you're not completely integrated with the barrio or whatever, you know. So it's like I imagine that in this sort of situation in Washington Heights, that's like everybody's kids is kind of like everybody's kids, and you just like you grab the kid and get him out of there. But in our scenario, it's like, should I can't touch your kid? Please come. Please
yeah,
come
exactly.
take it."
Because someone's gonna like take their phone out, record you, and be like, "Why are you talking to my kid? Don't yell at my kid. I raised my kid differently than you." But these people are all culturally proximate, even though they are from different communities.
Right.
They're all from the same kind of like base community.
Yeah.
They're all like kind of Catholic
Yeah.
basis, and Spanish speaking. So they have that kind of like something connects them all. Whereas here, especially in Vancouver, I just feel like there's no community. We hang out with our little cliques and our little homes, and because everyone's anonymous in the city. Whereas when I go to like the Salt Spring Island, like a small town, I feel like I have to be nice to everybody because I'm gonna see them again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come to the hardware store tomorrow, and it's gonna be the same guy working. I can't just be like, not stop for you at a crosswalk or whatever.
Yeah.
So in the Washington Heights, it's kind of the same thing. Like, yes, it's urban, but it's not so anonymous because at least they have this thing in common. A lot of them are immigrants.
Yeah, there's definitely like a feeling of anonymity, more so in like our big cities and stuff. When I walk into a corner store, I'm like, I'm just gonna get my stuff and get out and not like interact with anybody. But if I was in a smaller community and I was probably gonna recognize somebody there, or maybe I even know the cashier or something, it's like I am more seen and more visible as an individual. Whereas here we're just like another stranger. But I wanted to bring up the fact that we're watching this movie and it seems like it's like this really inclusive situation, really representative of all of these different kind of Latino cultures. But one of the criticisms of this movie, as we were discussing before the podcast, was the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda is getting some criticism for having only sort of fair-skinned Latino people in the main cast as the main characters. We have Benny, who's African American, but he's not Afro-Latino. So they wanted. It's being criticized.
Wait,
for
are you
not
saying
having
that
as
the
much.
character is not Afro-Latino or the actor isn't?
I don't know about the actor, but I believe that the character is only supposed to be just African American. I don't think he's supposed to have Latino heritage.
But he speaks Spanish stuff and lives in the same place as all of them. I just
it's
assumed he was.
possible.
This is-
It's possible, but I feel like if he was, then there would be less strong criticism. Because I think the main criticism that the main characters, which are Usnavi, Vanessa, Nina, Benny, like I guess Abuela, I don't know who you would factor in as like the actual main characters, but I don't think I now I feel like I have to look it up.
Yeah. To be clear, we're not the ones outraged by this. We're ignorant to the nuance of why
The guy's name is Corey Hawkins, so I don't think he's
I can see because people are becoming more and more mad that if anyone, it's like the Apu thing. If you're not, if the actor does not share the identity of the character, then it's not cool.
But this
So
isn't the case, though. Like,
This is a little different than that.
Because they're all Latino characters. They're just not like.
I think it's related, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that I guess we don't really have much to contribute to that conversation other than to identify that it's a controversy. And yeah, I think that it's particularly applicable here because the main characters and Washington Heights is made up of people primarily from the Dominican Republic. I looked up the history of the barrio, and at various times it's been home to various different ethnic groups. But since the 1980s, it's been primarily Dominican, and Dominican Republic has a lot of Afro Latino people. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably why a big reason.
What about Brazil? Did they factor into Latino communities, and was there any Brazilian representation in this movie? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
I saw a Brazil flag at the end, in like the final number. There was like a bunch of different flags, and there was the Brazil flag in one of them.
Because they're just so different when even in South America, it's just they're their own thing.
Yeah, I think that there is some separation depending on where you draw the lines. But like, I think the people in this community are mostly kind of Central American, and I think Brazil and South America, there's a lot more like Portuguese type stuff. So that's kind of like it's related, but it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah, well, the one character did say she was part Chilean, so that's there's at least some South American business going on.
I think that like. Yeah, it's all related, and we don't know what we're talking about for the most part. So.
I know the New York boroughs very well.
Here's a funny story. Something happened to me once. I was on a bus or in a car or something in Argentina once, and I was just looking out the window, as you do, and I saw this chick was walking down the street, and she had these jeans on, and they were like white jeans, but they had these blue vertical stripes, and I was like, those are pretty advanced jeans. But then I realized...
Advanced?
Yeah, like they were just really out there, kind of outrageous jeans. But then I realized... Argentina's flag has the blue and white stripes. That's the equivalent of American flag pants. That's still advanced, but it's a totally different thing. That's hilarious.
How are you using advanced? Do you just like, do you mean different? Like not normal pants?
No, it's just like you have to be bold.
Okay.
I like to use the advanced if someone makes like a joke that's really like edgy, really edgy, like that's advanced.
That's an advanced joke for advanced audiences only.
Yeah.
All right, can we start criticizing this now?
Yeah, some of the lip sync sucks.
Really?
Some of it's
that's not what I noticed. But.
Some of it's awesome, and I'm guessing there's like a hybrid of stuff that was recorded on the set and stuff that was recorded in the studio, and the stuff that's recorded live and like the timbre. I guess I'm using that word semi-correctly.
Timbre,
yeah. Where they're moving in the room, the sound kind of changes, and like the intensity of their face matches the intensity of their singing.
Okay,
that stuff works really well. But then there's stuff, especially closer to the beginning, where it's so clearly recorded in a studio, and like their faces are so chill, but their singing is so intense.
Oh my
gosh. And it's like not matching at all.
So you
and
can tell like the space you're in should have more reverb. It's an echoey big room, but you sound really dry.
And also just kind of the difference between the facial expression and and the sound coming out.
Yeah, they're like mumbling with their mouth, but it's like full like ah!
Yeah. Well, the part that made me think about that was when Jimmy Smith's character, Nina's dad, comes in to the corner store, and he's like, "Usnavi," and there's like, and he's like getting his order or whatever and buying a lottery ticket. And first of all, that's so annoying to me when you have sung dialogue. Like it's one thing.
Really?
It's one thing to have a song that is like thematically related to like what's going on in the plot and stuff. Like, okay, it's a song, we're singing a song. But then it's like, okay, we're gonna stop the song for a second. And the music is going to come down a little bit but still be in the background. And now two characters are just going to talk they're just having a normal conversation. But instead of just speaking, they're singing. It's so annoying to me. I hate that.
That's such a common thing in musicals, especially early on. Because like there's a lot of things in musicals that I don't like. Like I hated how much they were addressing the audience in the first song. But then they back off of it. Because it's like, that's just what you do in a musical is like the first song is to invite the audience in, and then you create the universe of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of part of it where it's like, it's a musical. You need to have tons of music at the beginning, but you also need to do tons of exposition. So you have to balance both. And then they back off of it a bit.
I also thought that worked though, because he's telling this story to his who we later learn is his daughter.
What a twist!
What a twist!
Oh, it sucks.
He's telling the story to his daughter.
Yeah.
So then inside the story, when he looks at the camera, I'm like, okay, that's fine because he's telling this story, and like in this sentence, we're kind of a stand-in for the kids listening to it and stuff. So I'm like,
Storyception.
Do you guys want to talk about that twist? I hated it. I was
when it was revealed that was his daughter?
No, that was fine. It's when it's revealed that he's not on the beach, he's actually in the store.
I thought something like that was going to happen, but I thought it was going to be like, oh, it turns out they're in Miami, or like...
Yeah.
When it all just washed away, and...
It's funny because I was like, oh, maybe in the musical it works really well because there's just like that little set where he's sitting at, and so you abstract that he's at a beach, but then really once they reveal it, it's like, oh no, you thought he was at a beach, but he's not.
That would work. That'd be
cool, right? But in the movie, it's like, no, they're lying to you, and it's just like it felt so like unnecessary. It was just like
The ending really had like a melancholy, bittersweet tone. And I think that's part of it, where you think that he succeeded. Like the whole movie, you're like, he got out of the barrio and like went back and started this business, and he's like, he fulfilled this dream that he had. But we learned that he did not fulfill the dream that he had. He changed his dream, and he was still kind of like found the happiness that he decided that he wanted. You know, family and staying home and like uplifting the community and this kind of stuff, and that's great. But I think it's a bit bittersweet because I feel like if we had a similar situation in a much worse movie, Sonic, where a character has a dream and he wants to get out of where he is and go do something, and the moral at the end of the story is that no, that's not good, or it's not the thing you should do or want to do. Yeah. It's you just stay where you are and make the best of what you have here.
That's tricky because there's always like the in every basically every movie, every good movie, what the character wants and what they need is different by the end, and like they get the thing they thought they wanted isn't what they end up getting, or what's good for them. So but the reason it's tricky is because, like you say, it does kind of seem like they just shoot down your dreams. But I didn't see it as bittersweet because I actually thought the whole time when his dream was to leave and go back to the motherland that was a betrayal. Yeah, I was like, why would you do that? Like, and especially why would Abuela want to go back to? Because the older generation, they left for a reason. Yeah, like they're succeeding there. Like, what the hell do you mean? Why would you go back?
It's a powerful moment because there are various times throughout the film where Usnavi is saying, he's looking at these pictures of him as a kid in Dominican Republic, and he's like, best times of my life. And Sonny, his cousin, brings up that he's like, dude, you were 8. Like, of course it was the best times of your life. That had nothing to do with it being in the Dominican Republic. It had everything to do with you being a child. So like, I think that kind of spelled out that this dream of his probably isn't based on, you know, reality and conscious, mature decisions. I think it's more based on kind of nostalgia.
I think he wasn't fulfilled himself just running a corner store.
No. Yeah, and I mean,
and then but once there's a mural inside the corner store, it's gonna be much better. Well, I guess there's the fashion stuff too. Like
that was
it becomes a much more community hub.
Right? He has a daughter.
True. For sure.
He has love.
I think that was the other aspect of the bittersweetness was the fact that like Vanessa has these dreams of becoming a fashion designer, and I mean it's a really weird. We could talk about the changes, but from the original, but the reason why he ends up staying is because they do this mural to kind of like appeal to his nostalgia in the store. And then Vanessa's like, oh, I was inspired. I made these clothes and like, maybe we could work together and like, blah, blah, blah. And so then it cuts to the future and she's selling her designs in the corner store, in the bodega. And I was kind of like, that's cute. Like, that's nice. But it's such, I think we're so used to narratives where someone's dream is like, oh, and they ended up working for a fashion company or something, you know, and they ended up like designing for Mr. Gucci himself. and this one, it's like you're selling bathing suits in a corner store.
Well, all their roads led back to the barrio. Yeah. Right? Even the one who they were like, no, you have to keep going to Stanford. Yeah. But then she just, I guess, course corrects and decides she's going to be an activist.
I think she does go back to Stanford.
No, but she aims what she's trying to do with her life is aimed back into uplifting her community.
And that's cool. I love that, because she doesn't decide that, oh, Stanford's not for me, and that's like trying to do a dream that's completely unconnected. It's like you still go out and achieve this great thing, but you use that to help back where you came from.
It was a bit unclear to me though. It's like, did she change her major or did she just like kind of see it all in a different light, or what?
I think it's more just sees it in a different light.
I think that Nina was pretty much going to Stanford because that was the path that was laid out for her. So I think that she was like trying to do well and get good grades and not really knowing what she was going to do with it, but knowing that, oh, I'm the one that got out, so like I have to succeed at something in order to like mean something to my community. But the realization that she has is that she can go into, I forget exactly what it is, but she decides to, do you remember? She decides to choose a career path that will be able to funnel her resources and expertise back into the community.
So I guess before realizing that, she just thought, I got out. I need to go and get some kind of awesome job in some other place where I'm not going to feel connected to my community because I'm the only one here and I got searched and all this. Like she's being othered when she's in these other communities and doesn't feel at home. Right. And then she realizes that she can actually contribute to her community. She can get this education and then return back and make it life better for everybody else. Instead of just like the kind of like, I guess I'll just make a lot of money and get a good education, and that's what people want from me for some reason.
I think that's primarily what she was thinking. But that was part of her kind of growing up.
I like how both her dad and her arcs kind of work together to kind of both get them to the correct spot, where it's like the dad really had the best intentions and she kind of did as well, but their goals were in direct conflict, but then they kind of massage their way through and it lands at a better place.
I think their arcs are the best. I like those stories the best.
Same.
There are scenes when they're in the coffee shop and they have that conflict and he's like, you're not the parent.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry. I liked all of that.
Totally. The mounting tension between them two felt really real. And when it blows up at the dinner table, I was like, oof, this feels very real to me.
Yeah.
I liked that party scene. I liked before the blow up when everybody is just in the living room and kind of start jamming and stuff.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That just felt really like, oh, here's one of those little examples of real life.
Well, just as people are walking in the door and everyone's so happy to see each other, it's just another part of why I enjoy this movie is like, everyone just loves each other so much. And you're like, this is just so good.
Oh, yeah. It definitely feels like family closeness.
Totally.
I almost feel like I'm part of it.
I wish.
But no, I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
We don't even have New Year's celebrations.
I love the part of that scene where Abuela is singing. They're singing to this song or whatever, and then the record skips. But like she starts singing and she sings like siempre, 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 and she keeps repeating it because that's become like part of the song for them. The fact that the record skips.
That kind of reminds me,
beautiful.
Of Usnavi. And like he's one of those, I thought main characters that are just like through and through good guys can be kind of off-putting. But I think he really succeeds. And when him and, is it Nina, his love interest?
Vanessa.
When she's kind of, him and her in the kitchen and she's like, they're flirting and he just like can't stop laughing.
God.
Really? Oh, I liked it. I bought it.
For me, it was a weaker part of the movie. I didn't believe the romance.
Oh yeah, I don't believe the romance.
Because she was like so incredibly hot and talented. Yeah. And then obviously he's a good looking guy. He's got his own business and stuff. And he was funny and likable. But every time he interacts with her, he's just bumbling and lame.
That's what I like though, is that he is believably shook.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I agree that their chemistry wasn't quite there.
Was there ever a moment where it's like he doesn't bumble and she sees him?
Yes.
With the community. I think it's as how he uplifts the community is what most attracts her. And like,
but that's like at the very end.
For sure. And I don't really get before. And like maybe it's just stuff that's off screen. I agree. I think that's a weak part of the movie, convincing the romance.
That's like
but there's like justification, I guess.
Well, okay,
but you don't feel it.
I completely agree. I love the dichotomy of him being this like super cool, like confident guy in the musical numbers, and then like in real life when he has to talk to her, he's just like,
you have something on your shirt.
Yeah, but like I feel like you say, we need to have this moment where she sees him and she recognizes something in him despite this.
When he pulled out the magic eraser,
that was a good little moment.
That was good.
But that was like.
Not strong enough.
You gave me this tide to go, and I kept it in my pocket. And she's like, I guess there's something to him after all.
I hated when they go to the salsa club and they don't dance together, and she's dancing with all the guys, and he dances with that girl who goes really intense. I just was like, this feels kind of unnecessary. Like, I get it that they're trying to build like the sexual tension and that it'll be a bigger payoff when they dance together at the end. But this movie's pretty good at like not giving you that like kind of drawn out tension in a frustrating way.
I think I picked up what you're putting down because it was kind of like they had this all as lost breakup.
Yeah.
But they were never that close.
Exactly.
This was like their first date. They needed to get close and then have that.
That's what's disappointing about it is that the movie's kind of like, it seems like the movie's trying to make you feel something for this. And I felt absolutely nothing because there was nothing established between them. I think they try to kind of like set up that there had been a connection because they like went to high school together because he knows that she's an artist and that she's good at that. Yeah. So well, it's actually really weird because right after, in a scene shortly after their big fight at the club or after the club or whatever, they're hanging out in front of one of their places and they're talking as if everything's kind of fine. And then he says something about like, oh, you were really good at drawing in high school. And she's like, no one's ever said anything nice about me, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so I guess they knew each other before.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel earned. Like, I believe Nina and Benny's history. They like from their first scene together, I was like, whoa, there's a lot here.
Yeah, because like they established like, hey, we were together, we had a thing, but then we kind of like had to break up because I moved away and blah, blah. And so, man, honestly.
And it's unresolved. You know, like one of them is like, you broke up with me, remember? And it's like, oh shit, they don't even agree.
I feel way more for Benny and Nina. Like, there are multiple times where I'm just like, why are they not the main characters? But like, I understand that, you know, Benny is not part of the Latino kind of community thing, so that would be weird. But like, I feel like we need that sort of relationship between Usnavi and Vanessa. Like, also, from the very beginning, her voice just annoys me.
Really? No, I liked everyone's voice.
Her singing voice?
Yeah.
I thought Nina was incredible.
So Disney princess. Like, I feel like Nina does a great job. Not Nina, Vanessa.
Oh, okay.
Nina does a great job. There are times in the beginning where she kind of like gets close to there, but like she does a really great job of kind of acting and singing at the same time. And Vanessa is basically doing this like, I'm singing in a musical, like all the time. And it's like, bring it down a little bit, you know? Like, I need to feel something. And
plus,
even
I was like, I think this chick's Persian. Just joking. I looked it up. She's Mexican.
Yeah, she is Mexican, but I definitely thought that as well. Like, she looks kind of like Middle Eastern.
Yeah. She's well cast for her. Like, she's incredible looks. She's a great dancer. Holy fuck, when she dances, like, that looks fun.
She's a great dancer, and they use many opportunities to show us
her like
abs.
8-pack.
Yeah.
But
she comes down like they're like having this. They're like, hey, it's super hot and the AC isn't working, but we have passion as a people. Like, let's turn this into a party. And everyone's just like fanning themselves and like they're sweaty and stuff. And she comes down in this like perfect workout outfit. Like, she like looks like she comes off a Nike runway or something. I'm like,
that
come
kind of reminds
on.
me, we should talk about the blackout as a device.
Let's talk about it.
The movie was kind of structured around this blackout, like 3 days until the blackout.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that going to be? And then it happens, and then it's X amount of time since the blackout.
Yeah, I
don't really
kind
get
of a
it.
weird device to use to have something. You're counting down to something, and then the thing happens right in the middle of it, and then we have a very long tail afterwards.
It doesn't feel like the blackout is like the most essential piece. Like, sure, big events happen around it, like Ebola dies and like the party happens, but it doesn't feel like it's an essential piece as to why those things were happening, you know?
Was it? It wasn't a scheduled thing, right? Like, the characters the first half of the movie don't know the blackout.
No, I think that's for the audience.
Just
hammer, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's
that was confusing because I thought that it was a scheduled thing. Like, everyone knows the blackout's going to be happening.
I don't think so.
So then when it happened, I was like,
Yeah,
they're in
they're
the
all
middle
like,
of the
"Whoa!"
club.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
in the club, and they're like, I was like, wait, did we not know that the power was going to go out tonight? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if it was audience superior or not, but
I think
I think it's a contrivance that's just like, okay, let's make some kind of ticking clock, some kind of stakes for the first half of the movie, and then let's also, you know, brownouts, blackouts are a thing for a lot of these communities, so let's just have that in here.
Yeah.
And then it did serve a purpose, you know, instead of just saying 30 days later.
Yeah.
In 30 days since the blackout, so we're all kind of anchored.
I wish that there was. I mean, I think we get these musical numbers where during the blackout, the community comes together, like Abuela has a heat stroke or something and dies. And then the community is like, oh man, let's gather together and like remember her. And that's where we get like Alabanza. And
I felt a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think I was just so confused. I was so taken aback by Abuela suddenly dying. So I had heard some people say, I haven't seen the original, but I've heard some people say that Abuela Claudia was way more of like a super integral character. She is an integral character in this one where we understand that she's the matriarch and she kind of like connects the community, but she's more of a character in her own right in the original.
I see.
And she has a couple musical numbers and characterization moments that are spaced out throughout the original show. And the song that she sings in this film,
her dying song,
her dying song is not her dying song in the original. She sings that earlier. And so we get that characterization of her as like, I came to this country and I worked and blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, the message there is paciencia y fe, patience and faith. And so that's kind of like, we feel that undercurrent throughout the whole thing. But in this one, it's like, she sings this whole song telling her life story and then she dies right away. And I was like, but also no kind of setup for that. Like no kind of setup for like, the power's going to go out in AC. Like, this is dangerous. I didn't get a sense of danger at all. So when they're all just having a good time and then suddenly she's like, I'm going to go to sleep. And then they put her down to sleep and she's like, oh, she's dying now. Yeah. Oh, what? So
you
she's
needed
gonna die.
You needed a shot earlier on in the movie where she's like,
struggling to breathe.
Yeah, or something.
she has tightness in her chest. or something.
I kind of got that by how much more she was sweating than everyone else, and it was like, oh, it's just old people sweats. But it's like this might come back a little bit.
Yeah,
but
they're
I think
all
you could use
sweating.
a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could have used a little bit more.
She was very sweaty.
Yeah, her last song. I like the song. It just doesn't feel tonally appropriate for the way it's happening, and I get what they're going for. It's more a celebration of her life than it is a mourning her passing.
Yeah.
And I like that they tried to take that angle, but it just felt weird. It's like when she's at the end of the hallway and turns back and there's like all the lights and then there's like the light where she can walk into.
Yeah.
It just felt off.
Yeah, and so like when they come in with like Alabanza, where they're singing about how they're lifting her up. I think we were talking about what Alabanza translates to. And I on Google translated it to praise.
In the movie, they say to lift close to the face of God.
Right. So it like they're putting her on a pedestal, and so I didn't feel anything during that song because I was still so confused. I was like,
I felt something when we were on the inside of the apartment with the people we knew were like grieving and like mourning with each other. I felt something there more than when it cuts to the outside and they're lifting the candles. I was like, this is fine.
Right.
I also was like, there's not that big of a crowd. I was kind of annoyed. And it's like, it was like 50 people or whatever. It's a lot of people, but I was like, this is a movie. I need 1,000 people.
There are some people that Abuela was having arguments with. So they're just like...
Go 2 blocks over, they hate her.
Yeah.
My favorite part was the white people. They live downtown. There's that ginger guy with the beard. He gets to twirl in the background.
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I didn't see. Who's that?
When she walks into the subway and there's like, a white girl walking right behind her.
Yeah, when Vanessa goes to get an apartment, it's the only time she's in she's in a different neighborhood. It's the only time there's white people.
Yeah, at some point in the early parts of the movie, I think around like the third way mark, I was like, okay, where's the asshole white character? Like where are they gonna come in?
Well, there's the realtor.
Yeah, but we never really get like an asshole white character.
What about the person buying with the clothing store or with the dry cleaner that cost too much? Was that guy Caucasian? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, he is, but I don't think he's supposed to be an asshole. He's just like, that's how much a new business costs.
I think with the feeling of this movie and like watching it as a white person.
You should be careful with just saying white though, because a lot of like South American people consider themselves white, just like Arabic people do too.
Well, sure, I guess.
This is not Caucasian.
European person, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. It's almost like I expect. Like I have to steel myself because I'm like, there's gonna be someone who represents basically me in this movie, and they're gonna be an asshole compared to like the the good people, but that didn't happen. We see like they talk about what is the word, gentrification. They talk about gentrification with this dry cleaner coming in owned by a white person.
But it was more framed as just like a force.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't painted as a malicious thing. It was painted as this is kind of the dynamics of like capitalism and like what happens when you have different communities who are like wanting different things, and so it was painted as a bad thing that this dry cleaner is coming in here and charging $9 a shirt for dry cleaning, but at the same time I was like pleasantly surprised, I guess, by the absence of like an overt asshole white guy.
Yeah. Well, they even go out of their way a little bit to not make him seem like an asshole when he turns the calculator and it's $117 to clean the napkins.
Yeah.
And Abuela's like, oh, let me think about it. And he doesn't make a big deal about it. He's like, totally cool.
Right.
And they could have, if they wanted us not to like him, that would have been a moment. They're like, oh, this is what everything costs now. Like,
Yeah,
sure.
so-
He did also waive a fee, the rush fee. But that's basically what the movie's about: is all these different forces that are destroying this culture, this community. Right? It's brain drain with Vanessa or with Nina leaving to go to school.
Yeah.
It's the main guy. Usnavi. God, I'm so glad they explained his name because I was like, I've never seen that name.
I
before.
saw the name before I watched the movie, and I'm like, that's a fucked up name. Like, that's U.S. Navy.
But dude, you saw it as U.S. Navy?
Yeah,
right
I
away?
was like, and then I love it. I think it's a
Man,
great
if you
show.
see Brazilian names, there's like, okay, Brazil and Iceland. I'm like, I can't even pronounce your name. Like, you think you've seen them all? No. Anyways, when Usnavi, him wanting to go back to the motherland, that's like another force that's tearing it apart, and just jobs, like Vanessa wants to leave to go downtown because that's where the work is, and just there's all these reasons why this community won't survive. And the salon is moving to a different place because they don't have demand. They're getting pushed out because of the rental prices.
Yeah. How much money is Vanessa making? Because that apartment is $3,500 US a month.
Was it?
Yeah, it said on the paper $3,500, and I was like, that's a lot of fucking money,
That's
man. Like, I know
crazy.
New York is one of the most expensive cities to live in.
It's a realistic price, but is it realistic that she wants to move there?
Yeah, because we don't really see her sell anything. Do we see her work?
Yeah,
Like, we see her make stuff.
She works at the salon.
Oh, true. But That's
I
a lot of money.
Think so. I don't think that she would be making that much.
But I guess it's like to set a really high bar.
Yeah.
And makes like what Usnavi does more.
Maybe
time.
she does do stuff on the side. I don't remember seeing
Maybe she
that,
sells.
She said something
yeah.
she was saving.
Yeah. I was confused though because I thought it was a rental place and then she needed a co-sign person. Like,
yeah, because it's that when it's that expensive, you need to co-sign sometimes.
For rent.
Yeah, just because their credit's bad.
Oh, dang, dude.
Or it's just not big enough.
Yeah.
Guys, we've been this far without talking about the true main character of this movie, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Is he in it?
Yeah, he's the Pedagua guy. And
Oh,
they keep
the
bringing
shaved
him
ice guy.
back.
Oh, that's
What?
so funny.
They bring him back like 10 times. My favorite moment. So they keep bringing him back his character and they give him a little song of like, shaved ice is better than ice cream.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I like all his stuff. And he's a great singer and very charismatic guy. So I'm happy. But the weirdest moment is when they're in like back in the Dominican Republic on the beach before we realize that it's fake. And he's seeing all the people in his life that he loves so much. All these like loved ones. And then there's the Pedagua guy. And you're like, what the fuck?
See, I think you're missing it. I think that's exactly like, yes, I'm glad that guy's in there. I love that shit.
What? Oh, he's like, all the people, my family and my friends, and the shaved ice guy.
Yeah.
what's-
Can't forget him.
Who's that in your life?
Yeah.
Like as a guy at the coffee shop. Me, it'd be like the guy who makes shawarma. I'd be like, I'd miss him if I went away.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this, not shaved ice guy, but ice cream guy in all of like Mexico and South America. There's always a guy has a bell, like a town crier bell.
Right.
And he goes, helado, helado. It just rings the bell, just walks around with like a shoulder strap cooler.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that guy would be in my crowd.
Yeah. It just felt like such a Rob Schneider moment. You know?
Yeah. Your
And
song,
me.
totally. We didn't need that song.
And
Plus,
me, Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
what's the deal with the time where he goes up to some kid who got ice cream and he squirts his like flavoring on it to ruin that kid's ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, never buy from that guy again.
Yeah.
Wait,
What?
is that what he does?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works.
I thought he was
man.
adding more flavoring.
No. It was a kid who got
technically-
ice cream and he had sprinkles on it and he sprayed it and it kind of did like
Oh,
dislodge all the
I
sprinkles.
didn't miss that. That's rude.
Like, dude, that's not how marketing works. That
No.
kid's not coming to you.
That-
You're a mean man.
That musical number where that happens, it's so confusing because it's like everybody has a song that they sing. All the main characters have the thing, and then we cut to the shaved ice guy, and he's got his own little song. I guess maybe I would accept that a bit more in the stage version, in the stage musical.
Yeah, for sure.
But in this one, I'm just like, why are we spending any time with this guy?
What do
Like,
you think it means thematically?
I mean, so the song he's singing is about like, this is my corner, and it's also about gentrification, where he's got this little cart that he's like, running himself, and then there's a big guy with a big ice cream truck who's like, and they have like a moment where they're looking at each other and there's tension or whatever.
But that person's also a member of that community.
But he's
Is he?
he's selling something that's not traditionally
Right.
Latinx. Like
Yeah.
he's selling ice cream, not
represents
like the
more
Pedagua.
American Western culture or whatever.
it also could hint at like the conflict between members of the same community. That they are also in competition with each other in the same rat race because we're all in this rat race.
I guess so. Yeah. But it's just like, it just seemed weird in the movie. But I can see how in the stage musical, it's more kind of like, all right, we're getting sort of a snapshot of the community. But this is really one of the only times where we get a snapshot of someone other than the main characters.
Yeah.
And so it felt a bit awkward.
And he speaks the most Spanish, right? He seems to be like one of the newer immigrants.
Yeah.
right.
Or like the least integrated.
Yeah, I think he's fine in this movie. He stands out because he looks like a dad, whereas everyone in this movie is like a model.
Yeah.
Everyone's so good looking in this movie, and then there's just like this guy.
Hey, what's the deal with Usnavi's hat? Get rid of that hat.
No, that's like
Wait, which
that's
one?
like a Dominican
the newsboy,
thing.
The newsboy hat?
Yeah, it's like his dad had it. It's like I've seen.
Yeah, it was his dad's
He's
hat.
like a 28-year-old good-looking rap dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just going to put on this
Yeah.
old man hat.
It was
now.
his
You ever
dad's
seen
hat.
Happy Gilmore? Yeah, that guy's hat.
I feel like
It's all in the hips.
Yeah.
I feel like in the beginning song when he's singing about the business and like the corner store and how people are coming in, it does these cuts between him wearing all these different outfits. I feel like I get the feeling of like who he is there because he's like this rapper kind of guy. He's into that sort of culture. He's got the big hats and stuff. But then later it's like, okay, I understand that he's wearing this hat just because it's his dad's hat, and that's not really his personal style, you know?
Yeah, it's like connecting him to his culture, I guess.
Yeah. Or to his family. And
I don't. I guess we should compare it to Hamilton a little bit. Have you guys seen Hamilton?
no.
No, I didn't see it.
This
I
is-
would if it was on the stage here, I would have seen it.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, way better.
Whoa.
And a big part of it is I don't give a fuck about American independence. It's just not subject matter that matters to me, and it's not relevant to me. And like, there's the rap is good, the music's good, and a filmed stage musical as its stage musical is always a little bit less interesting, and it's like 3 hours. Whereas this, it's cut down to 2.5. It's visually stimulating a lot more than watching a stage musical when you're not there.
Right.
And I like the music a lot more. Like, the raps are good in Hamilton, but it feels more like theater kid rappy than this does. This feels like, because it integrates like Afro-Cuban music, it lands a lot better for me.
Man, a lot of
I
the
much
raps,
prefer this.
That's
to
what
Hamilton.
I'm saying. Where it's like the choice of this topic and this community has harmony with making a musical.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of the raps I was just also just appreciating as like lyrically dense, and the references to other things, like when he steps out on the street. This is just like one example of like these are all throughout the entire musical, but the one that stuck in my mind was he steps out on the street during the first musical number, and there's like tourists there, and they're like, how do we get to this or whatever? And he's like, well, you must take the A train. And that's a famous jazz standard. Take the A train.
I used to play that when I was in like playing piano.
Yeah. I played in jazz band.
Nice.
And so like, he does that, and then the music kind of like does like a record scratch and then goes back into the beat. And I was like, oh, that's like, and then at the very end, he's like, Merry Christmas, all building alone, blah, blah, blah. And it's like part of the lyrics. And I was like, oh, that's a reference to It's a Wonderful Life. And so I love how you don't get that kind of stuff in musicals a lot. And so I think that Lin-Manuel Miranda is that's part of his signature move, is making these musicals that incorporate rap. And I think that it's beautiful the way that he kind of incorporates these tropes of rap, where you like do these like lyrical references to other works of literature and stuff like that. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hit picks and nitpicks.
Hit picks is what they changed from the stage musical. Although I kind of complained about the reveal of the beach being not real. That's just not at all in the musical. But I think it helps frame the movie in a way that helps it to feel like it's got direction.
Okay.
So I do like it overall.
I'd say that's a neutral pick for me, where it's like, I can understand that that's sort of an improvement over the stage, but
it could have also just cut it.
For the reasons we talked about earlier, it feels kind of weird sometimes.
That's a not pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. An side pick. We're going hit picks, snip picks, side picks. They really change the Rosario family. So that's Nina's family, where her mom is still around, and like the dynamic there is very different. As far as I understand,
there's more of an exploration between their family dynamics, between their different family members.
And then in the musical, it's less clear. Like their romance, Nina and Benny, is bigger. And so they actually did cut down on it, and apparently it was more equivalent romances. So.
Well, wait, but if they added more to the Nina and Benny romance, it would be even more unequal in this one, because there's like nothing in Vanessa and Usnavi's.
Yeah, I
feel like if anything, we needed more to Usnavi and Vanessa's romance.
Well, more as they had more screen time, they just didn't have more depth.
And then my last hit pick relating to changes, it always annoys me when a lottery ticket is kind of a big like MacGuffin.
We didn't even talk about that.
And like I like 96,000 the song. I think it's a great song. And I like that no one wins. And then at the end, when it's revealed that Abuela had the ticket, it's like, okay. But what I like about it is that it's not used to like save the day.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to do something really good, but still go on my path and change.
Yeah.
But in the stage musical, it is what changes the day. He wins the lottery. He finds out earlier, and then he's able to like save the store and like stay and like, and he didn't have the money for the deposit, and so he's able to use the money to buy the deposit. So it's like the money is a lot more integral to the plot, and I'm glad that they pushed that away and made it more about the characters.
He just put it into like the kids' education or something instead, right? And also, it's awesome that the lottery's in it, though, because lottery is a huge part of it, especially Cuban culture.
Right.
You know, the number.
I think it ended up feeling a little bit like a red herring, where it's like, okay, they make it seem like this really big thing that he got the money, and then he ends up not. Well, he uses it for a good cause, but it doesn't like save the day, quote unquote. But I think I ended up feeling pretty okay about it.
Oh, totally.
I only have one nitpick. It's actually a gaffe that I noticed. I think it's the lawyer character, but there's a scene where between the shot and reverse shot, you see a guy take his glasses off twice. Like he's like, oh no, this is strenuous to think about. I'll take my glasses off and consider this. The shot changes and he's doing it again. That's about it.
Hit pick for me. Did you notice, David, in the salon, Valentina?
Yeah, of course I did.
The famous drag queen. I forget what season she was on, but or he or she. I don't know.
They were on 2 seasons.
I don't know whether he was in
All Stars 4.
Oh, I didn't know who that was, but
it
was funny.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on the those kind of comic relief characters from the salon who are just always being goofy. Those three ladies, they were awesome.
Yeah, I
liked
like
a lot.
them. They were a lot of fun. Anytime they're around, you're like, this is gonna be a good scene.
I feel like, have you guys seen Orange is the New Black?
Yep.
A bit.
So the one lady was from that. I feel like I expected them. I don't know. And the other lady was from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Rosa Diaz.
I thought it was so. It was kind of a fun place to see them. That's different from where we know them from. But
well, yeah, in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rosa Diaz or Stephanie Beatriz is so serious, and that's her character. She's like the harsh, stern one, kind of scary, intimidating. But here, she was the goofy, like party goer, and it's nice to see the difference.
That was cool to see, I guess. I didn't. Yeah, they're pretty minor characters, I guess.
But they're like they feel almost like vaudeville in the sense that like they're like outside of the story, but like in like commenting on it, and like they're like, I don't know. I really liked it. It felt like kind of appropriate for theater.
For sure.
And I enjoyed their presence quite a bit.
Yeah. Nitpick for me was, I mean, I guess this is, there are times in this movie where the lyrics are super literal, and I know this is another trope of musicals, but it just bothered me. Like, I like musicals. I love the fusion of these different art mediums, but man, during the blackout in particular, they lose power, so they start singing powerless, we are powerless.
It's because there's like a double entendre that they're trying to
you don't get it right.
No, I got it, but it was just kind of like, okay, this is a bit too on the nose.
Yeah, it's a little bit
basic. And
so it feels like he wrote this while he was still in school in like 2000, and it feels a little bit 2000s to me, where it's like, it's simple.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It was just missing the we are powerless, but we're not just talking literally. We're talking metaphorically.
I think they kind of get there because like it starts as just talking about power, but then it becomes about like in the final climax number when who's the helping hand at the store? What's his name? Louis?
Oh, Sonny?
Sonny. And Vanessa sing their like powerless, and that's kind of when it turns and it becomes like, okay, it's more about like our culture is powerless, or like we're powerless because of the society.
I think it gets there.
It gets there, but it's a little bit.
Just what to start out with. I'm just like, ugh. And then the part where they're like running out of the. This is kind of the same thing with like lyrics and as talking when they're running out of the club after the blackout, and they're like, "Where's Uznavi? Where's Benny? Vanessa? Benny? Nina? Where's Vanessa?
I did not like that scene.
And then they just shoot off the fireworks, and there's like, look at the fireworks! Look at the fireworks! There's fireworks in the sky. It's like, we see that. You don't need to tell us.
Yeah, that's a big nitpick for me. Is that whole power going out in the club scene? It's like didn't really add much to me at all. Like I wonder if it exists in the stage musical for them to change the set. Yeah, it's like a blackout, so then the stagehands can like move around sets or do something. But in the movie, it just felt like annoying.
And I think it would have felt a lot less annoying if it did what it was supposed to be doing, which was to be a background for Uznavi and Vanessa to have a real sort of
fight,
or like any sort of dynamic to the relationship at all that has meaning and depth. Instead of just like, I thought you were cute and I was too scared to ask you out, so my freaking kid cousin asked you out for me. It's just like there's no connection. Anyways, I'm not gonna go on that.
This is an actual real nitpick. That guy who has his feet in the kiddie pool with a big block of ice, but there's no water.
Wait, what's that?
He has so there's like one of those blue kiddie pools, like the plastic ones.
Yeah.
And there's a big block of ice, and he has his feet in it, but there's no water, and he's not like putting his feet on the ice. It's like instead of just like there's just no water in it.
Is this in the background?
Yeah, it's just the camera like dollies through a bunch of people, and I was like,
maybe he's waiting for the ice to melt.
Maybe
because it will melt.
Water was so still, you didn't see it.
Maybe.
Okay. And
all right. Anything else?
This isn't really a nitpick. Per se, because I'm like, okay, it's part of the story or whatever, but I wrote, okay, is it just me or is having a giant dance party a great way to make a bunch more people get heat stroke? When they were like, oh, the power's out, we don't have, but it's like, hey, we're a strong people, we're not going to be put down, like let's have a fiesta and start dancing so we sweat. And I was like, this isn't.
I mean, how hot does it get in New York?
109, it said.
Well, in the middle of summer, I'm sure pavement kind of is like reflecting heat and all that stuff. I don't know.
Pretty humid too.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not a good idea medically.
I mean, an old lady literally died, but everyone else was fine.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That was In the Heights.
That was In the Heights.
Turns out we had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we thought this was going to be a shorter one.
None of them are short. It's a long podcast. Anyways, guys, next week we're doing Luca. They're excited about that. It's going to be great.
Where does that take place? In the south of
Italy, I thought.
Italy.
Yeah.
That coastal town that's the tourist trap that is beautiful.
Mermaids. Oh, I've been there.
You know that.
It was raining. I was there in October. It sucked. Anyways, the movie's gonna be great, and so is the episode. So tune in next week, and you can tweet at us in the meantime at Carpool Critics, or even email us, and I promise I'll reply eventually. hello@carpoolcritics.ca.
Olay!
Adios, amigos.